now. Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. So welcome to our. I don't know how many Q&As we've done, but this is like maybe like the fourth or fifth. So we have Dr. Matute here. She was supposed to come in on Friday, but whatever, we weren't able to do that, so we rescheduled for today, as you guys know. So whatever questions you guys have, feel free to ask her. And I don't know if you want to like kind of introduce yourself a little bit before we start.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Was anybody speaking? Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Matute. First of all, I want to apologize for not being able to make it on Friday, but here we are today. Thank you all for showing up. I know this is going to be very helpful. I once was in your shoes, and I wish someone would have done this. So that has taught me a lot. I have a huge passion, not only for dentistry, but also for students and people that want to pursue a career in dentistry. I graduated from FIU a really long time ago. I graduated in 2014 from FIU. I did a bachelor's in biological sciences, got married, and then after we got married, my husband and I moved to Wisconsin, which is about an hour north from Chicago. I got accepted at Marquette University School of Dentistry, where I got my doctorate, my Doctor of Dental Surgery, DDS. And then we moved back here to Florida. This is our home state. And I was an associate for a couple of years. I worked for a fantastic office, a doctor that had 2 offices. I practiced in Pembroke Pines and in the city of Miramar. And then while that was going on, I was working on a project of opening up my own practice, which I own now, and it's fully operating. So all of that is good. And here we are today. So I was telling the girls before they opened up the chat to everybody else, I was telling them that if you want to become a dentist or if you want to pursue a career in dentistry, you got to think that you are making a lifelong commitment, okay? This is not just graduating college with a 4.0 GPA or getting an excellent score in your DAT. This is just the beginning of a huge, huge climb up Mount Everest. And I am not even at the peak yet. And I am well into my 30s. I am already a practice owner. So this is not to say that you have a long road ahead of you, but it's just to give you perspective that it is a commitment, and that if you are willing to make it, do remind yourselves that you can, all right? That you can do it. That a GPA, that a failure in an exam, or that failing of the DAT will not make you a dentist. That is the #1 lie. And it all starts here. You got to repeat that to yourself every single day. If you want to really become a dentist, it starts up here. You got to believe in yourself first, and always remember that a score or an exam result is not going to define your future. All right, but you are. So I was telling the girls that it's like a marriage. You got to marry dentistry, and you got to not divorce it, because this is going to be you for the rest of your lives. The #1 thing I recommend before jumping into the academics is shadowing. All right. You got to love spit. You got to love blood. You got to love bad breath in order to become a dentist. You got to love annoying people, annoying patients, scared patients. You have to love all of that, because that's going to be your life for the rest of your life until you retire. And you're only going to know if you like it if you expose yourself to that. So if you have a local dentist, reach out to them. Typically, dentists don't mind. Well, I don't care when people go to the practice, as long as, you know, they're not interruptive, and as long as they're professional and they keep up professional standard level. You guys can definitely contact me and then and stop by a few hours a day or a few hours a week, just to know what it's like to be a dentist. Because some people some people might like it, some people might not. And, you know, you might be studying for the DAT, but you might not really know why you want to become a dentist. That's the number one question that the admissions committee is going to ask you. And the answer to that question is key. And the reason is because there's 5,000 applicants that in their personal statement answer this question. And out of those 5,000 applicants, you have to stand out. All right, you got to stand out. That's the number one thing. You are competing for a single spot, and it is very competitive. And now with COVID, it's even more competitive. And the reason is because clinically, there's some restrictions that as dentists we have, and in dental schools, it's been a little trickier. So the admission staff is becoming a little bit more strict on who they have to give that seat to that prospective dental student, because chairs are limited now. There's no longer that freedom that we have now because of the pandemic. So the odds, it's not to say that the odds are against you, but it's just going to make it a little bit tougher. But it's a challenge, and you all got to remember that challenges are good. Challenges are going to shape you, and everything in dentistry is a challenge. And it starts from the day you decide that you want to pursue a career in dentistry. So remember that, everyone. Can I start up with any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Please take advantage of this, guys. There's no dumb question. There is no stupid question. You're not singled out. Take advantage of this opportunity. Any questions whatsoever on anything?
I have a question. So where's your clinic exactly?
Okay. So I practice in Weston. I am in Broward County on the west side. So right off of Royal Palm Boulevard and I-75. You guys can find us on Instagram. It's called Artisa Dental, like artisan, without the N at the end, Artisa Dental. And you can find a little bit more about our, like who we are, how the practice looks like, and where we're located and all of that. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about, does anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, I know Maureen, go ahead.
What exactly would you say would be a good model answer for, like, why do you want to be a dentist? I'm sure that they don't want to hear like the same thing every time. So what would make you stand out? Because everyone shadows, everyone has is in the pre-dental, everyone tests good. So like, what would make you stand out specifically?
So what do you guys think? I'm gonna bounce that question back. What do you think the average answer to that question is? What do you think other people are gonna say?
Because I like helping people.
Okay. What else?
I feel like that's the main response that people give.
Right, but you could be a nurse because you want to help people. Everybody helps people. You could be a teacher to help people. You could be a cop to help people. You could be a firefighter to help people. Most professions are social worker to help people. So what are other? You see, I like making people smile is pretty common. Yeah, you can also be a comedian and make people smile, right? I mean, let's try. But that's good. That's good. What are other common answers that you think people out there are saying, are responding to that?
Sorry, that you like making people feel confident. I feel like that's a big one. Like
that you like making people feel good. Yeah. Good. That's actually a good one. That was one of my answers. That you like making people feel confident. One of the things that I said, the reason why I want to become a dentist is because I want to make art with my hands. Okay. And the reason why I came up with this was because one time I was doing I think it was from the FIU Dental Society, the pre-dental society back then when I was a member. We had to do this hands-on waxing exercise. Have any of you done that? A waxing exercise? Have you ever played with wax?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So that's something that you will do a lot in dentistry. And I loved it. I loved it. And so little by little, I started carving teeth and making teeth and learning the anatomy of teeth and all of that. So that's one of the things that I loved about it. And I was pretty honest about it. Yes, I wanted to help people, but I knew I couldn't say that. I had so little time. They give you like 30 seconds to answer a question, and it's like speed dating. So you got to make sure that, you know, you have to be prepared and you have to think outside the box. So when people would ask me why you want to become a dentist, I would say, number one, I want art. I want to make art with my hands. I know that I can change people's smiles by changing the shape of teeth. And in turn, not only am I using art to do this, but I'm also increasing people's confidence and self-esteem. And I gave them I looked up a percentage. Back then it was like 55% of people hate their smile and don't like to smile in public. And so I gave them that little statement. And I said, and I want to change those 55% of people. I want to increase their confidence and have them step into an a job interview, feeling more confident. I also said that I wanted to make art with my hands. I wanted to increase people's confidence in their smiles, and that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I told them that being a woman, I wanted to have kids, and being a woman in the work industry, it's a lot difficult for women to become entrepreneurs because they have a responsibility at home, that you have to be a wife, that you have to be a mom. So automatically they say you need to stay at home to do that. And I said that dentistry has that flexibility, which I'm living now, gives you that flexibility to be an entrepreneur, be a business owner, be a professional, and be a mom and be a parent. So those are the three things that really I had to think about, and I had to really be like dig deep into myself and tell myself, why do I really want to become a dentist? And that's the reason why, guys. I don't have to work Monday through Friday. I am able to spend time with my kids and my husband, and I'm able to be a boss, be an owner, which not a lot of professions out there have that opportunity. What other questions do you all have?
So what was the transition like from when you finished dental school and went into like the actual field of like practicing? I know that like the last 2 years you're already working on patients, but just transitioning from like that university environment to like real life, what was that like for you?
It wasn't hard. Dental schools, at least the dental school that I went to, was really good at preparing you clinically, preparing you, you know, the first 2 years of dental school, all you're doing is taking exams. All they do is bombarding you with new information, lots of credits that you have to take all at once, lots of classes. You guys, dental school is not easy, and it's not for everyone. I can tell you it was 100 students in my class, and out of those 100 students, 8 didn't make it. 8 of them didn't make it, and we turned into a family. It was like high school all over again. It's 100 faces that you see every single day for the next 4 years. Same people, same environment. Everybody would sit in the same chair, turn on their own computer. So it got very monotonous, and we all became one big family. So you will do that. That will be you. Dental schools, most dental schools, their class sizes are between 80 and 100, or at least they were in my time. There's very few schools that are 300. I know NYU is one of them. These big schools, try to stay away from those schools with large class sizes, all right? You wanna stay 80 to 100. You wanna become very close to the doctors that are teaching, the faculty members that are teaching, and that's a little difficult when it's a big class. So that's one thing, a side note that I would keep in mind. In the first 2 years of dental school, they're loading you with tons of information, all right? Be prepared for that. If you think the DAT is hard, studying for the DAT is hard, I was telling the girls before the session started, dental school is harder. The DAT is just a small a little glimpse of what dental school is going to be like. So if you're struggling for the DAT, get used to it. You will struggle, but it doesn't mean that you will not make it. through dental school. So the first 2 years is a lot of studying. I think I took the first semester, it was 27 credits, which is insane. Some people lose weight, some people gain weight. It's a physical burden, you know, and it's mental boot camp. So train yourself for that, become mentally prepared for that for the first 2 years of dental school. The last 2 years of dental school, that's when you fully focus on your hand skills and in your clinical skills and talking to patients. All right. An excellent dentist is an excellent clinician, but also an excellent people person. All right. I tell the girls that will go and shadow us, and Sophia is one of them, that people hate going to the dentist. So you got to be very personable with them. You got to learn to talk to them. You got to learn to smile, to be sympathetic, to show empathy, because that's the only way they're going to like you. Everybody hates going to the dentist. They don't want to be touched. They hate the drill. They hate everything. So that's a little tricky thing in our career that we have to overcompensate with the way that we are. And so my school was really great at teaching me that. So back to Maya's question. The last 2 years, all you do is drill. You're drilling fake teeth, and then you move to drilling real teeth. And so by the time I graduated, I was pretty confident. I started working as an associate, and I was seeing over 20 patients a day. So none of that, you shouldn't worry about that. Dental schools are not gonna just throw you out in the real world without you knowing anything. I mean, before you graduate school, you have to take certain exams to get your license, right? And this is something that it's super important. You got to take care of that license, and they're not just going to give a license to anybody. You have to work hard for it. So you'll be prepared for that. Don't worry. But before thinking about that, you guys have to think way. You have so much to get there. So think of questions that are going to help you for now, like what you guys can do now in order to first get you in. Has anybody gotten into dental school already? No? Or is anybody in the application process? All right. So when are we planning on taking the DAT?
I'm doing mine in February.
February, okay. Is anybody doing it before the end of this year? Taking the DAT?
I think I'm gonna take it in December.
December, okay.
I was going to, but all of the dates in South Florida are taken. I would have to go all the way to Fort Myers, or I think it was Tampa for anything in December.
Things have changed a little bit in those prometric centers because of COVID, so spots are pretty limited, but y'all should be fine. So when are you looking to apply? What cycle?
I'm applying next cycle.
Same. Next cycle. All right, what other questions do you all have?
What's the best way to approach a dentist about shadowing? Because I actually live in Broward, and so all the shadowing that the club is doing and the ASDA club's doing is like all the way down in Miami and Aventura. So it's just, I have to kind of go out on my own and talk to dentists that aren't really around the university. So what's the best way to approach them about shadowing?
So the best way is number one, calling the office. If you look for if you find Google dentist near me, but Google what you want to Google. Make sure if you like kids, I would say go to a pediatric dentist. If you like surgery, go to a neurosurgeon or a periodontist. If you like a little bit of everything and you like kids and adults and you want to see what that's like, then a general dentist. Or if you wanted to shadow smile makeovers, go to a cosmetic dentist. So the number one thing is Google what you want to Google. Google the ideal person that you want to shadow. The second thing is we're pretty busy, All right, we're pretty busy and we typically don't have a lot of time because we're always jumping from one dental chair to another, to another, to another. So that's what the front desk staff is there for. So the first thing I would recommend is call the office and right away introduce yourself. Tell the person that picks up the phone, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm a student at this and this university. The reason why I'm calling is because I want to see if you have any shadowing opportunities available, as I am very interested. I know who Dr. So-and-so is. I love his or her practice because this and this and that. So if you give the name of the doctor, they're already gonna think that you know the doctor without them knowing that, hey, you just looked this information up in Google, all right? And so then tell them, look, if there's any possibility that I could speak to the office manager. You're not gonna say to speak to Dr. Bob, because Dr. Bob is doing surgeries. Dr. Bob is gonna be like, who's calling me? No. So always, if you feel like you have a window of opportunity to speak to the person that's above the person that's picking up your call, always direct yourself to the office manager. And the office manager is going to be your channel or the intermediate that's going to connect you with Dr. Bob. The next step that I would ask for is, oh, would it be possible to get Dr. Bob's email address or the office manager's email address? Then they're going to give them to you, and that email address is going to be the best way of communication.
Okay, yeah, I've been sending emails since like August with my resume and cover letters, and no one's responded. I figured.
Have you called?
Maybe, I didn't call because a few of the ones that I saw around here that had like positions available for front desk or dental assistant said don't call because the office is always really busy. So I was always like, I guess, afraid to call because I didn't want to interrupt them in a moment where they had a lot of patients.
Right, right. So are you interested in a shadowing opportunity or a job opportunity?
Shadowing, job opportunity, wherever I can get experience at. Because
so for dental assisting, typically for dental assisting is a little trickier because most dental offices need dental assistants that have some type of certification. Right. All right. So my best bet is start shadowing first, and you need to get the doctor to like you in a personal level. And if the doctor likes you, then the doctor can hire you, and that's going to make it much easier. And 90% of the times when there's a shadowing opportunity and a girl leaves the front, a girl from the front desk leaves and finds another job, the doctor will probably give you that opportunity because the doctor already knows you. The doctor knows how well you speak and your professionalism and all of that. So right. Lee, my recommendation would be to call and introduce yourself as a student that would like to shadow Dr. Bob. Okay. Get that foot inside the door. And yes, dental offices are very busy. That's the nature of it. Everything, right. Dental offices are busy, but if you say that you want a shadowing opportunity, try to get your foot in the door that way. Requesting a shadowing opportunity instead of a job opportunity. Okay. And then in the hopes that once you shadow a couple of months, you'll get that job.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, good question, Lee. What other question do you all have?
I don't know if you can see the chat. Hey, nothing. But there's some questions in there.
Who's this?
Can you see the chat? Oh, Sophia.
Okay, I see the chat. Questions. Where do I go for questions? Sorry, I'm not tech savvy. Oh, chat here. Okay.
Are you on a laptop?
Let's see. From Alexa, it says a lot of the extracurricular I do are not dentistry related. They are service-based, but have nothing to do with science. Would you suggest I continue with these, or should I be more involved in science extracurriculars? So basically, Alexa, I recommend you, you have to self-evaluate this, okay? How eager are you into preparing yourself for dentistry, all right? If you say, oh, I'm just testing the waters, then that's your answer. You can just continue with your extracurriculars. But if you tell yourself, I really need this, I really need to prepare myself, then jump into it and do more dental focused extracurricular activities, all right? I tell the girls that shadow me at the office that Your job right now is to soak in as much information so that when you are asked an opportunity to go to NYU and to go for an interview, that you have great reasons to speak about, all right? Because I lived through it, guys. I interviewed at 3 schools, and at the 3 schools that I interviewed, I got in. So I had a chance. I had a choice of where I wanted to go to. Not a lot of people have that, all right? But it's not because I was smart. It's not because I graduated summa cum laude. It's because I worked my butt off preparing myself for those interviews, not just reviewing questions, not just, no. How did I prepare myself? I shadowed a lot. I became very familiar with the dental language. I became very familiar and I observed how dentists behave, what they do. And that gave me things to talk about at the interview. Things that are not why you want to become a dentist. Why are you a good student? Tell me a little bit about your GPA. Those are standards. Everyone should know those answers already. Those are standards. You need to have, it's speed dating, remember. Short amount of time, and you're going to be interviewing with so many other students that want that same seat that you have. All right? And I can tell you this because I was also part of the admissions committee at a point. So I interviewed students. Being a student myself, I interviewed students, and I actually had to choose between two girls who got the spot. And the reason why the girl that I chose, or that not that I chose, but the one that I presented to more, the reason why she got the spot was because she was on point and she spoke. She spoke, but she didn't just speak to kill time. Her words were spoken with a purpose, and they were targeted. And that's exactly what I did. I remember doing. I said, all these years that I'm in college, I'm also going to prepare myself for that interview. So I read up on dental anatomy. I got familiar with the numbers of the teeth, and then I got familiar with the teeth, baby teeth versus adult teeth, and what they're called, primary dentition versus permanent dentition. And when these doctors heard that I was saying those words, they're like, oh, wait a minute, you know a little bit about dentistry. Is your dad a dentist? Is your mom a dentist? No, I'm actually a first generation student here. I was the first one in my family to graduate college, and I'm here, and there's no one in my family that's a dentist. And that rang a bell because I knew that I was interviewing with people that had great grandparents, grandparents, and parents and cousins that were dentists. But here's this girl that knows a little bit about dentistry because she did her homework. And I know that resonated because it wasn't my GPA, you guys. I wasn't the brightest. It wasn't my DAT, but it was the experience. So to answer that question, definitely make an assessment and tell yourself, if you really want this, then change your extracurricular activities to anything related to dentistry. All right, let's see. How did I get to the other questions? Here I am. All right.
Wait, I have a question bouncing off that one. So now you were in admissions. What would really stand out for you when you were reviewing those 1,000 applications before even meeting the person?
Well, hold on, I'm dental terms. So because I was a student, what they would do is I was part of the student council body at school. So I didn't really have a say. So what the dean would do is he would grab a group of five students that they interviewed. And then they would send those 5 students to the student council. And so we would have the president, the vice president, the entire student body. And then we would interview those students. And what our dean wanted to do is make our selection process very well-rounded and not biased, or biased. So what we would do is we would kind of, they would give us a breakdown of questions that we had to ask. And typically students are a little bit more relaxed or chill when they're talking to other students. So these students thought that they were just talking to homegirls and homeboys, but we knew that we needed to see their professional level. How would these students refer to the faculty that they just spoke about? Would they call them by their name, Dr. So-and-so, or would they call them, oh, Steve, you know? So these little things that are important, the dean wanted us to kind of make a mental checklist of, okay, their professionalism. Do they call faculty as a doctor, or do they just kind of say their name? How are their mannerisms? Are they professional? Do they cuss? Some of them did. Some of them did cuss when because they thought they were chilling and sitting in a, you know, at a Starbucks talking to a friend. So all of these things count because these dental schools are like boot camps, you guys. Okay, they're looking for students that are well-rounded, but that are really responsible. All right. So these were just little checklists that we had to do, and we had to we were kind of infiltrated in the admissions process, but nothing too big. It was just something that they wanted to test out, and we did it for the 2 years that I was in the student body. And one thing that I would notice is that a lot of people say the same things. A lot of students say the same things, and it's so unfortunate, because I wish when they were saying the same things, it becomes boring, and you become one in a million. It's so difficult to pick you if you say things. And other things I would notice is that people that shy away get lost in the crowd. All right, so try to be very not annoying with questions, but be smart about the questions that you ask, and ask. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. The more questions you ask, the more you're going to show that you have interest in the program, interest in the university, and interest in dentistry. All right, because people that don't ask questions, I couldn't even remember them. Like, who's this applicant? I don't remember, because they never spoke a word. And to us, maybe that person was very shy and an introvert, but to us, it was that they didn't have any interest in the program. So even if you're timid, that's okay. Even if you're shy, that's okay, but do know that you're doing this and that you're being very strategic about what you're saying. All right, it's all strategy. There is another question. Go ahead.
No, you want me to read you the chat box better?
I have it here. It says, would you recommend being a dental assistant during a gap year? Does it help? Absolutely. If you want to become a dental assistant, that does help. It is a little difficult out there from a hiring perspective when you don't have a certification to become a dental assistant, or when you don't have any experience whatsoever. So like I was answering Lee's question earlier, try shadowing first. Have a little connection with the doctor, and that's going to be easier to get any type of job in the dental office. Even if it's answering phone calls, is good. Okay, because you get to learn a lot from answering phone calls. Before dental school, while I was in college, I worked at an oral surgeon's office, and I loved it. That choice or that job opportunity was what confirmed my desire to become a dentist. All right, so even if you do answer calls, that's all I would do, guys. I would just answer calls, and I would book appointments, but that was enough. And that also gives you things to talk about in the interview, experiences that you had with patients, and stories that you can tell. And the last question I have here from Daniela is, how would you bring up all the dental terms in your interview? A story, by telling a story. One great opportunity is when you answer the question, why you want to become a dentist. That is such a broad question, and it's going to give you all the time you need to tell them, hey, pick me. You need me in your program. Just that one question. If you answer that one question and you take the opportunity to take that time and talk about your path, you can talk about an experience that you had when you were little as going to the dentist. You can talk about reasons that I gave you why you want to become a dentist. and then you can bring up the dental terminology while you're saying all that. So that's a very popular question. All the interviews that I went to had that question. So let's see.
I have a question.
Go
So,
ahead.
did you do any research during your undergrad? Like
No,
what?
I didn't do research. I did not
Nothing?
like research. Nothing. No research whatsoever. I did not like research. I knew research wasn't for me. I knew I wanted to become a dentist. The first step that I did is I went to shadow a general dentist. I shadowed a pediatric dentist, and I loved it. So I knew that that's what I wanted to do. If you have some inclination into research, there is tons and tons of opportunity to do research in dental school. So there's a clinical side to dentistry that's absolutely amazing when it comes to research. So if that's something that you're very inclined to do, you can absolutely apply that, that inclination to dental school. But I didn't do it, and you don't need it. I mean, if you're trying to do stuff to fill up your resume, and you don't have an inclination to research, that's okay. If you love research, go for it. Take it and run with it.
Yeah, but like, imagine if you have done research, do you think that it could have been like something good on your application?
So here's the thing. Who do you guys think makes up the admission committee? Makes up the people that who do you think is going to be sitting there interviewing you?
Faculty.
A professor?
Which are doctors.
Right, obviously, but what type of faculty?
They're probably going to be dentists as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so one, it's going to be the dean. Okay, has the dean done research? No, the dean is a dean. No research. A lot of faculty members. Most of these are doctors, are dentists. Okay, have they done research? Probably not. They're in their 60s, 70s. They're in the retirement phase of dentistry. Okay, so think of the people that might interview you and think like them. Okay, if it's the dean, what do you think the dean is going to want to talk about? Academics, behavior, professionalism, code of conduct, ethics, right? So that's what you have to talk about. Faculty members that are dentists, what do you think they're going to talk about or they're going to want to hear? Dentistry, dental terminology, dental assisting, dental shadowing, all things dental. There might be a professor in psychology that's going to interview you, okay? Because you have to take some psychology classes in dental school. So she's probably going to talk to you about behaviors, about code of ethics, about anything. There's also going to be a student here or there that's going to interview you, all right? But no research faculty is going to interview you. Why? Because they're down in the basement doing research. That's all they do, okay? So don't worry about that, Jose, don't worry. Research is not a big thing when it comes to admissions. Great question though, great question. All right, let's see here. I've been very stuck between med school or dental school and have shadowed both. The orthodontist I was shadowing in the office seemed in love with his job, and the dentist said she wished she could have done more and pursued medical. How would one really make a choice? All right, this is an excellent question, Katie. So you shadowed an orthodontist and he loved his job. Have you shadowed a general dentist? All right. Go ahead.
I shadowed a pediatric dentist, and they were both in the same office. So I would bounce from one to the other whenever they had a big procedure to do. And I also shadowed the dental assistants most of the day as well. So it was just following all of them.
So dentistry, although dentistry and medicine are in one field, they're very different lifestyles, okay? So you gotta think about it in two ways. You gotta think about the professional side, the clinical side of it, and you also gotta think about the personal side of it, okay? My sister, she's in medical school. So she made a commitment where she knows that medicine is gonna dictate where she's gonna go, okay? because then she has residency, then she has fellowship, then she has this and that, then she has this and that, then they never finish school. All right. Dentistry is short and sweet and straight to the point, and it's still in the medical field. So I'm a little more to the dental side of it because I'm a dentist, right? But if you talk to her, she's obviously going to deviate to the medical side because that's her passion. So it's very difficult to answer that question. And like I said, self-evaluation, all right? Have you shadowed a medical doctor, a physician? Okay, and do you like it?
I do. It's just not as hands-on as it is with dentistry, just because, I mean, you can't really like see too much of the patient because I've seen more like internal medicine, which I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of boring. But then also I've shadowed a dentist, and like, I don't know, I just feel like she just comes in and out of the rooms just checking. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm just not on the right like specialization that I've seen that something interests me, but both of them are kind of like, I don't know, some have their fun moments, really interesting, and some I'm just like, you're just walking in and seeing the same thing all the time.
So with medicine, what you said, it's not hands-on. Dentistry is the most hands-on job that you will find. But within dentistry, there's different branches of dentistry that you can concentrate on. Just like with general medicine, there's different branches of general medicine that you can concentrate on. Just to give you like a comparison real quick. I know you guys know this. Dentistry is not as long as medicine. Medicine, I mean, you got to know the whole entire body, and you got to really focus on one specific area. So in order to get to that really specific area, let's say neurosurgery or cardiothoracic surgery, it takes extra training. Do you want to put yourself through that extra training? See, those are things that you gotta think about, not just the today, but the 10 years from now, especially if you're a woman. Women, not now, but in some point, you're going to want to get married. You're going to want to have kids. So can you do that while you're doing that career, right? Maybe this dentist was having a bad day that day. Who knows, Katie? Dentistry is like that. Some days in dentistry are good. Some days in dentistry are bad. I've had those days where people annoy the crap out of me, both staff and patients. So some days I really don't want to be there, but I know I have to be there because I have a commitment, right? So it's, the more you shadow different doctors, the clearer that question is going to get an answer. So you really got to keep if you're still in this juggle, in this struggle and struggle, try to shadow other doctors, both doctors of in the medical field and then doctors in the dental field. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. What made you choose Marquette besides the other two that you had? What really stood out for you?
It was in use, the facility, it's an old school, but the facilities were new. And I loved that when compared to the other two schools that I went to. The equipment was very new. The hallways were new. The classrooms were new. They had very high technology when compared to the other two schools that I visited. And the cost of living. Cost of living, you guys, dental school only gets more expensive, all right? And it's ridiculous, and the inflation in that area is very saddening. So you got to really think about the financial side of it once you do get into dental school. So it's all little steps, right? It's levels. So it's different type of things that you have to worry about when the time comes. You don't worry about finances right now, because all you have to worry about is getting in. Then once you get in, look at the tuition differences, because schools, tuition differs a lot, especially obviously if you're going to be out of state, tuition is going to be way higher. But if it's going to be a state school versus a private school, that might differ a little bit, and also location. So one of the things that caught my attention for Marquette was, number one, the facility. Number two, the tuition was a little bit cheaper than compared to the tuition at the other schools, and the cost of living. Okay, cost of living in Milwaukee, I mean, rent was like $500 for a 2-bedroom apartment, whereas in NYU, you know, that was going to be like $3,000 for a studio. and I was married. So I had to think about my spouse, you know? So those are the three reasons that drove me to go to Marquette.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there ever a time that you felt like you were isolating yourself from your spouse, like during that time? Because as a woman, I have thought about into the future, and I think like, do I want to get married before, after, during? Is it going to mess up like my relationship?
No, it wasn't, because you need a support system. Okay, especially if you're out of state, and if you don't have, your parents or siblings to kind of motivate you, you need that physical hug. At a point, you're going to need that shoulder to cry on, and you need that support from someone that's not in dental school, from someone that's not living what you're going through. So having my husband there was the best thing that happened to me. I mean, he would basically take care of me. I didn't have time to cook. I didn't have time to clean. You don't have time for anything. So he was my little babysitter, and he was my main cheerleader. So I am so thankful that he went there for me. So Maureen, if you ever find the one and you decide to get married, don't let that stop you from doing so. It's a fantastic choice. So.
And did you ever see yourself like isolating yourself from like family overall, like not going out because like not having a life, I guess?
Yes. Oh, that's 100%. And you have to prepare for that.
Couldn't do like work or anything, right? You were just in
So the first 2 years of dental school, you are fully invested in dental school, okay? The first 2 years of dental, 3 actually, 3 years of dental school. You're diving in deep, guys, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be like nothing you've experienced before, okay? College can be tough. Studying for the DAT could be tough, but dental school is on another level, all right? This is not to scare you, but this is to let reality kind of sink in. So if you want to travel now. If you want to, have fun now, because you definitely have your job, your life, your everything is dental school. Okay, you have a full-time job, and then you go home and you keep on studying, and it doesn't stop until late at night, and then you wake up and you do it again, because you have a bunch of it. You guys, I remember my first semester, I'm never going to forget this. The week before finals week, I had 7 exams. Okay, so 7 exams the week before finals week. 6 exams the week before finals week, and on finals week I had 7 exams. So it's boot camp. It's dental boot camp, and it's to train you to be an excellent clinician, but you will be completely invested in it. I actually had a little bit more free time on my last year of dental school, was when I found a part-time job, and I was able to go out more. And don't get me wrong, when you have breaks, you're going to have breaks. You're going to have Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, summer, spring break, and you disconnect. You completely disconnect. What I would do is I would disconnect, book a flight down to Florida, and we would just be loving life for 2 weeks. Then we get back in the plane and do it all over again. So you will have your breaks in between, where you'll be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. But it's fun. It's fun. Would I do it again? Who knows? But I did it.
I think I have more I guess a direct question. So I was looking up the Artisa Dental, and I noticed that you guys are practice general dentistry. So I was wondering if you have like any availability to accept students for shadowing, because I think I'd really want to look at general dentistry area, because I don't really have an idea of which direction, like an orthodontist or anything like that.
Yes, absolutely. So I will give you my email address, and this is for anybody listening that wants to do any type of shadowing. It's Artisa, it's info at, no, I'm sorry, let me give you mine. Dr. DOCTOR at artisadental.com. Send me your name, who you are, where I met you, because I get a lot of these emails, And then we'll schedule a meetup. Typically, the office manager will contact you or the girl in the front desk and tell you what days we have available, and we can schedule something like that. So absolutely, my practice is open to you guys. Hey, I was once in your shoes, so I know how difficult it is to find shadowing opportunity. It's just a matter of asking. So yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. I have a question here that's very important. It says, can you go over dental school application process? All right. So very broad question. What about dental school application process do you guys want me to talk about? How to apply, when to apply.
Like maybe the timeline, I guess.
A timeline. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I gathered my CV. Okay, so form a strong CV and just have it there for yourself. Okay, any extracurricular activities, any volunteer work, any job opportunities, any societies that you were in FIU, any honors program, any rewards or awards, I'm sorry, anything like that. So this CV you're gonna construct for yourself, because you got to organize your thoughts and you got to organize your own personal timeline. That's the first thing I did. Don't add a picture of yourself in the CV. Write your name, your phone number, your, regular CV. No fancy fonts, nothing. This is just a plain, keep it nice, tidy, and professional, okay? And start thinking, am I missing anything? Am I missing anything? And most of the time you will. You will miss some award, you'll miss some, I don't know, mission trip, you'll miss something, add it. And that's gonna give you a little bit of a organization to then add it into the, what's that website, the application website? Someone help me. AdSAS portal, okay? The second thing that I would work on is your personal statement. All right, I took months writing this. This is not something that you can just do in an hour and you can just type up in an hour. Why? Think. These people get 5,000 essays that they have to read. 90% of them don't get through the entire thing. They read the first paragraph. These people don't have time. They get through the first paragraph. If in the first paragraph you sound like someone else, you're out. All right? So make it catchy. This is where your writing skills have to be up to par. I am not a writer myself. I have a friend that's a writer and she helped me write it. Okay, so if you have friends that like writing, or a professor that's into writing, write about it. I started it kind of like a novel, right? I knew I needed to be different, so I started writing it like a novel, just to kind of catch the reader. The third thing into the application process that I would do is then once you have all of that ready, then start doing the application, submitting it through the website. And the website's gonna take you through everything. Once you start the website, I don't know if it has changed. Anybody can correct me. The last time I did this was over 10 years ago, so I don't know if it has changed, but back then it would just take you through a series of steps. And while you're doing all of that, shadowing. Shadowing is key. Shadow. I think there's a section there that says if you've had any, like if you want to explain anything in your GPA or why you got a certain grade, you can do that. Explain, be honest. Don't just BS something just because you want to cover your back. Remember, honesty is everything. So yeah. And then if I'm missing anything, I don't think I am. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of applying and crossing your fingers that you're gonna get an email. Typically, the first thing you do once your application is submitted is you're gonna get an email. All right, so make sure you write the correct email address because you will be invited to interviews via email address. You're gonna get an email saying, oh, the School of of this and that is inviting you for an interview, and they give you probably about a month or two window. All right, so you have a month or two to book your flight, make arrangements, and then go kill it at that interview. All right. One of the things that I get asked a lot is how many schools to apply to. All right, check this out. You could apply to as many schools as you want. The more schools that you apply to, the higher your chances of getting accepted. Okay, I applied to 10 schools. All of them were, no, I lied. Two of them were in state. I applied to Nova and I applied to UF. Other than that, I applied to, all of them were out of state. All right. Out of those 10, I got 3 emails. Not a lot. Not a lot. And I had a good had a good resume. All right. And out of those 3, by the grace of God, I got accepted. Was it difficult? It was. It was very difficult, but the opportunities are there, you guys. You just gotta see it. All right, you gotta see it, and you gotta apply. Be smart about it. Okay, if it's a financial issue, try to work around it, because I know applications are, you have to put deposits and you have to put this and that. It's money, so work around the financial aspect of it, because definitely that number does kind of open up a little bit more doors the bigger the number is. All right, it says here, how did you find a school life balance? People say it's important to make time for yourself, but dental school seems like such a time-consuming process that I would end up neglecting every single aspect of my life other than dental school. So this dental school is a huge sacrifice, okay? It's a sacrifice that you make, just like when you know, active duty members decide to serve their country, right? I mean, not to that extent, because they're not literally going overseas, but it's a small sacrifice that you have to make. So it's all about keeping a healthy balance. So for instance, one thing that I love to do, or that I would love to do, was Netflix, right? So I would tell myself, you know what? Once a week, I'm just gonna watch a Netflix show with my husband just to decompress. And that's the way that I would keep a balance. I was never a party person. I was never a drinker. I wasn't like the massive social butterfly. I didn't need that. What would feed me was Netflix. That was my therapy. So find your therapy, whatever your therapy is. If you like to go out with your friends, if you like to go shopping, guys, if you like to play video games, if you like to play basketball, that's your therapy. And you're gonna use that in dental school as a way to like release energy. Another thing that I would do is I would work out. So I'm not saying that you won't have time for anything. No, you'll have time for stuff. You just have to be smart, because no one's gonna force you to study. No one's gonna force you to do anything. You have the ability to run your own schedule in dental school, because you're already a professional, and that's what professionals do. They run their own schedule. It's just up to you what you want to do with that time. But you'll notice that dental school, once you get into dental school, students are very competitive with each other. Okay, remember, it's 100 of you, and there's going to be those top gunners that are going to want to, you know, be number 1 in their class. So it's everyone's working as a team for the same goal, but you're all doing the same thing. So it's going to be normal to be, you know, studying a study club at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night. That's normal. That's going to be normal. It's going to be your life, and all of you are going to be doing this. If you're going to have roommates, you're going to have your roommates. So everybody's going to be in it in the same atmosphere. So you're not going to feel so singled out from, oh, am I missing out? You know, because all your friends are going to be doing the same thing that you're doing, and that is studying. I hope that answered that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Is biochem lab required? I saw it was recommended, but it's stressed. Oh, I don't know how requirements work. You would have to contact the actual school to see if it's required. When it says recommended, I don't think that's important. They say recommended, but there's other factors that matter most. Biochem is required by some schools though. Yeah, so it's a school by school thing. So you really have to, not all the schools have the same requirements. I know that for sure. There were some schools that I didn't apply to because I didn't meet one of their requirements. I didn't want to waste my money. So your best friend is Google. Google what school you want to apply to. Before applying to that school, dissect that website, the school's website. Read about the school, read about their requirements, read about their policies and all of that, and then make a decision from there. Not all the schools are the same. That's your homework, okay?
Thank you.
About how long did you study for the DAT? About 6 months. I was telling the girls this earlier before we joined the session. I studied for a little, it was like 6 to 8 months that I studied for. I took my time, so it's something that I recommend. There's two type of people. There's a type of person that studies right away and wants to get over it, and some of these people do great, and they're gonna tell you, oh, I studied 1 year for it. 1 month, and I passed it, and I did great. And there's other people like myself that are gonna tell you, no, I had to study for a little over 6 months, and I passed, and I did great. All right? It all depends on the type of learner that you are and the type of lifestyle that you have. If you have all the time in the world and you think you can do it, study 8 hours a day and get it in 1 month, then do it. But if you have other stuff going on and you want to take your time, that's okay too. It's relatively different. From me, what I did is I took 6 months. 6 months that I studied for it, and I started with the hardest subject for me, which was organic chemistry. I did not like organic chemistry at school. I struggled a lot with it, so I started with that. So that's my tip for you. Start with the one that you're struggling the most, and take your time, guys. This is important. Although it's not the complete deciding factor in getting in, it tells a lot about your where you are standing in your academics. And specifically, this is important for those of you that have a lower GPA. All right, pressure's on you just a little bit, not a lot, because GPA is not the determining factor, but if you have a lower than average GPA, you really want to take your time with the DAT. Okay, take your time with that DAT and score really high so that it can compensate, like overcompensate. I studied 6 months while going to dental school, while going to FIU for getting my bachelor's. All right. When you submitted your application, how long did it take to get an email regarding interviews? I submitted my application in end of August. Okay. And I took the DAT. I started studying for the DAT in January. I took it over the summer, let's say like June, and then I submitted my application in August. I submitted my application in August, and I started getting emails in like around October, November. So around this time. And it ran from October, November to like March. And I got accepted in, I finally started getting like you got accepted emails and calls. Typically you get, at this point, I think I got just calls like around, I'd say like February, like April, because I needed to get everything squared away by the summer. Any other questions, you guys?
I have a question. Do you finish the prereq for applying, or Like if I apply and I haven't taken, let's say, whatever, biochem, can you do you take it after? Do you have to take it before, like a certain class?
Take it before you submit your application?
Mine or yours first?
Yeah, like do you have to finish everything?
So what I recommend is
Hello?
submit your application when you have everything in already. Because what can happen is if you don't meet a requirement first, they're gonna put your resume on the side, right? But that's gonna pile up with everybody else that's in your same predicament. So once you have everything done, submit that application, okay? If you were waiting on your DAT, that's okay. Send that application because you don't want to be an extra early applicant, but you don't want to be one of the late ones either. Because remember, as they're getting applications, they're also getting people in. Okay, it's like a first come first serve type of thing. They're not going to wait until the application deadline is over to start looking for applications. That's ridiculous. They get thousands of these. It's a lot of work. It's time consuming, and they need to do this quick because they need to get the ball rolling on the incoming class. So my recommendation would be get everything organized, get everything, get all your ducks aligned, and then apply when you have all your requirements done. If not, let's say if for some reason, here's something key that I did, calling the admissions office, okay? Every admissions office in school is going to have a secretary, okay? This secretary is going to, is the admissions counselor's right hand, all right? Become best friends with this secretary. Call them. I called all my secretaries. I knew them by name. And I called them for dumb questions, all right? The only reason why I would call them is because I wanted them to know that, hey, Natalia's calling again. Did you get my application? Yes, we did. Okay. Oh, I just did a shadowing opportunity and I wanted to add it to my CV. Can I send you an updated CV? Sure, Natalia, go ahead. So they remembered who I was. It's a psychology thing. They remembered who I was. So by the time they got to my resume, the secretaries would tell the dean or the admissions counselor, oh, hey, yeah, this was a girl that would call 3 times. So when I went to the interview, the guy knew me and he knew me by name. He's like, oh, finally, I get to match a face to a name. Hi, how are you? So see, it worked. That's when I realized, wow, being a little annoying and calling actually does work. And a lot of times we don't call. People don't call. We're so used to texting, right? And we might shy away from calling, but these are older individuals where calling is important, okay? They want to hear your voice and to match a voice to a name, all right? So call the admissions committee, the admissions office, and speak to a secretary. Do not request to talk to the dean. Do not request to talk to the person no, the person that's on the phone, that's good enough, all right? But yeah, Sophia, to get back to your answer, do that. Call. That's a great question for a great opportunity to call. So even if you know the answer now, call and ask them, and they'll give you the best answer.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. What other questions do we have? We're good? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Somebody asked a question in chat. Oh, someone has a question in chat. Okay. Thank you. Did you take a gap year? If you did, what did you do to strengthen your application during that time? I got a job. All right. I started shadowing this doctor when I was in college, and I did exactly what I am recommending. I shadowed this doctor the first couple of months. I was just shadowing, getting to get to know him, him getting to know me. It's a trust thing, guys. When you want to become an employee for a dentist, it's a trust thing, okay? You gotta have a standard of professionalism. We're not just going to hire anybody off the street because we're dealing with people. We're dealing with clinical scenarios, and people matter, right? And we have a license that we have to take care. So I am very picky with the staff that I hire, and with any student that comes in. So it's sad to say, but I don't just allow any student to come and shadow me. Okay, they gotta be respectful. They can't just go in there thinking that they're little kids, you know. So and I'm telling you because most dentists think this way. All right. So let me see. So yeah, so I had a really strong connection with the oral surgeon. I made sure to basically, you know, be on my toes, be very professional about it. Shadowed him for about 4 months, and then a girl in the front desk left for maternity leave, and he's like, hey, do you want to answer calls? I answered calls, and then next thing I knew, I was like assisting him in surgeries. So yes, I took 1 year, a gap year. I shadowed the oral surgeon, then I worked for the oral surgeon, and I learned that I did not like oral surgery, but that didn't scare me away from dentistry. All right, you might not like the environment that you work in or the environment that you shadow. That's why, Katie, I was telling you earlier, try to shadow other dentists, try to shadow other medical doctors. All right. So definitely, if you are taking a gap year, do something with that gap year, okay? Don't just sit there, or don't just go get a job at the mall or flipping burgers. No, be smart about it. All right, start by shadowing. Then you'll get the foot in the door, and you'll become, you'll walk patients out, you'll answer phones, you'll become an assistant. Anything like that works. Any other questions, you guys? We're good? Maya, how are we?
I think we're good. I joined pretty late, but hi, Dr. Matute. I'm the president of the organization. I was in class,
Hi, Alex.
so I kind of
Nice
joined
to
late.
meet you.
How's it going?
That's okay.
Nice
Don't
to meet
worry.
you too. Thanks so much for hosting this event for us. We appreciate your time, very much.
Absolutely, absolutely. You guys are killing it, and the fact that you're in this meeting speaks a lot about your desire to become a dentist. So good for you. Good for you. All right. If you all have any other questions, the best way to reach me is at that email address that I gave you. Alex, do you have it, or Maya has it, so y'all can reach out to her.
Yeah.
And one last thing that I want to encourage you with is keep going. All right. The more questions you ask, the more you investigate, the clearer this path is going to be for you. All right. If you've had people tell you that you can't do it, that should be a push for you to go even higher. I had people in the past tell me I couldn't do it. And here I am 10 years now, and now I'm a practice owner. So that's going to be you one day, but it all starts here. All right. Where you see yourself. Remember, grades do not guide you. The amount of times that you take the DAT doesn't mean that you're any dumber, okay? It's okay. It's okay. And everybody has a different pace. People learn at different paces. Some people might have a fantastic GPA, but have to take the DAT 3 or 4 times. It's okay. All right. There's nothing comes out of comparing yourself from the person next to you, okay? This is an individual decision. This is an individual path that you're going to take for yourself. And it is a great path. Dentistry is the bomb. All right. I love it. Okay. So I encourage you to take this road and to be proud of it. Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a great one.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. That's